Hello and welcome to another episode of RGU Talk. I'm Julia and today we'll be talking about RGU's Undergraduate Management Programme. Interesting fact, I'm actually a graduate of this programme, so I'm really looking forward to chatting with James, who is the Management Programme course leader, and Rebecca, who is a current Management Programme student. We'll be talking about the highlights of studying a business and management degree and giving you some top tips about studying with us. So, let's get started. Hi, James and Rebecca. Great to have you both on the podcast today. How are you both?
I'm very well, thank you, Julia. It's good to be here.
I'm well as well, thanks, Julia.
Great. So firstly, James, can you just explain to our listeners what a business and management degree actually is?
Gosh, that's a big question to get started with, but it's a really good question. I guess the real way to think about this is why on earth would anyone want to study a business and management degree? And what we've tried to do with the degrees as part of our management programme is really tune them into what employers need from management graduates. And part of our research of what we've looked into, including speaking directly with some employer organisations, is that we've realised employers want quite a broad base of management skills in terms of how to work with different people, how to go about any job, but with a in the management sphere, and thinking about how you're dealing with larger organisations and others within those organisations. So we try to make sure that all of our management courses have a good structure, a good skeleton structure around these broad aspects. But we have also realised from our research that at the same time as that, employers are looking for specialist skills, particularly specialisms in the more contemporary trends such as data analytics and finance and economics and marketing, etc. So we've tried to allow for the opportunity for students to specialise in those areas. But the core point is that the broad-based meta management skills they're usually referred to as are going to be important throughout anyone's career, but also giving that opportunity to specialise as much as possible. And I think that just makes you stronger going into work for any organisation, small or large. You would just have a better handle on how organisations work and how to go about yourself in the working world.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, can you just tell us about the 6 degrees that are actually included in the management programme?
Yeah, and it's a really good follow-up question, actually, because the fact that we've got the 6 degrees in the management programme is because of our research into what employers are looking for in management graduates. So our 6 degrees as part of the programme are, I'll give you run down the formal titles just now. We've got BA Hons Management, BA Hons International Business Management, BA Hons Management with Marketing, BA Hons Management with HRM, a BA Hons Business with Data Analytics, and BA Hons Business with Finance and Economics. Now, the reason why these titles exist is because we're heading into specialisms that we know are needed. They are skills gaps in the labour market at the moment. So we're trying to produce graduates at the end of their 4-year degree, or whenever it is they join us in that degree. We're trying to produce graduates that are able to fill and address these skills gaps in the broader economy, because we know that this is what is the skill. These are the skills that are needed going out into the broader market. The reason why we have them clustered together as part of a management programme is because we really see it as a family between the 6 courses. For instance, everyone that comes into the course in first year, they all study exactly the same things, regardless of which one of the 6 specialist courses you're on. You're all going to be studying the same things. And that's a lot of the kind of management fundamentals of what we try to get across. And that's really useful for students, because it means that as you go through your course, you'll be sitting next to people that are studying data analytics. So someone that's studying management with marketing could be sitting next to someone that's studying management or business with data analytics or business with finance and economics. And we know that relationship between the two is very important, because these will be your peer networks as you graduate, and you'll have a network of people with lots of different skills and complementary skills to come together. And it's that cross-pollination of different skills that's very important for us.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember this myself. I studied BA Hons Management with Marketing, and I have friends that did various different management degrees. And like James said, it's great for also building a network when you graduate. So Becca, I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about the course that you're studying.
Yeah, sure. So I'm in my 4th year studying BA Hons International Business Management. So as James said, this is a 4-year course designed to prepare you for the world of work. There is a study abroad option available in 2nd year with a year placement encouraged in 3rd year. You cover a variety of modules from people management to a little bit of accounting and finance, just to ensure you have that broad understanding of knowledge in this field. And then you obviously specialise in certain areas in 4th year. So now that I'm in 4th year, I'm specialising in the international business side of things. As James said as well, it's been a really interesting opportunity being here. In 1st year, I was with so many different people from different courses. So there was people in like HR that were coming in, loads of different people, marketing as well. And we were all studying the same course, same modules, which is really interesting.
Great. And James, I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about the highlights of the management programme.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this is something that we consider quite often. What are the standout highlights for students? And maybe after I provide an answer here, Rebecca might be able to hopefully provide an answer that is on the same lines. Because quite often the highlights for staff, and staff have a lot of highlights, things that we enjoy in the programme, quite often they are the same as the highlights for the students, and quite often they maybe even differ. But the highlights, I think, from my perspective of the management programme are, I'd say, maybe 2 or 3 key things. The first is, as you go into 2nd year, everyone will engage in a module which is called Business Ideas and Opportunities. And that's a very much a entrepreneurship-based module where you're forced to come up with, or you're asked to come up with new business and new creative business ideas. Start to think about how you can make a new idea to market and put a business structure, a sustainable business structure around it. That's a real highlight because it puts students in a position that they've maybe not been in before, where they're actually asked to come up with something creative, and they're tasked with coming up with the idea themselves. That's a real highlight. And whenever we get to the assessment of that module, it's what we call the trade fair. And the trade fair is with all the student ideas of that year are all presented in one place, hopefully on campus when COVID restrictions allow. And it allows just a good energy about the place with all these different creative ideas buzzing around. And quite a few of our student groups going through that module have actually gone on to try to develop their idea further and actually develop it into a sustainable business in its own right. I think that's one of the first highlights, particularly from a staff perspective. That's one of the first highlights. Another couple of highlights actually starts to depend on which route you choose to take through the course. Quite often people will opt for a study abroad period, and if you're on the international business management route, study abroad is an expectation of that course. But for all the other courses, it's an option that you can look into doing, either going to study abroad for 1 semester or indeed even for the full academic year. Students are quite apprehensive about going on study abroad, going into a foreign country and studying in English. The things they are taught in that foreign country are in English. But still, being in that different culture, being in that different environment can make people apprehensive. But the vast majority of students, when they come back from a study abroad period, they have absolutely loved their experience in another culture, in another place, and similar topics to what they would learn here, but in that different setting. And that's fantastic for your future employability as well. So that can be a real highlight for students going through the course. The other thing to point out, again, it then depends on the route that you take through the course, but you have the option of applying for a full year paid placement in a company, and that's where you go and you work for a company as part of your degree. Now, the important thing that we've done with that in the structure of the course is we've made that credit bearing. And that means that it's not like you're taking a gap year from your degree. You're not taking time out of your degree to work in the full year placement. What you're doing is you're working in the full year placement. You're also doing quite a lot of reflective work on yourself and on your employability skills and on what you've learned about management through that placement experience. And as that's credit bearing, that counts as one of your years of study, if you like, and you then come back to do your final year. And the other highlight, just to point out quickly, is the final year thesis. That's the original research project that students get working on. Much the same as the kind of entrepreneurial skills earlier on in the course. This final year thesis, students have to be creative to come up with a research problem, something that needs solved in the world of management, something that needs better understood in the world of management. And they can build an entire research project around that. And some of our research projects from our undergraduate students have gone on to be published in some of the most impactful journals in academia. So it shows you some of the great work that our students can achieve once they reach that stage of their studies.
Wow, that's amazing. And a personal highlight for me was really my placement. It was an invaluable year, and it actually also helped me get my graduate job as well. So an amazing part of the programme. Rebecca, I think I know already what your answer is going to be to this one, but from a student's perspective, what has been the highlight of your degree to date?
Yeah, so the highlight of my degree has to be the study abroad experience I did. So I spent 5 months in Koblenz. It's a place in Germany, a city. It was an amazing experience, and I made so many friends from this. I went by myself, didn't know what to expect. Everything had been organised by RGU, so I felt quite comfortable in that sense, but it was just going over there by myself. But the confidence that came with doing this was just unmeasurable. Like, coming back from that, I became so much more confident, so much more adaptable. I feel, things don't faze me as much as they used to, and that's all due to this. And the connections I've made, I've still got them. Like, I have 2 French friends that they keep telling me to come visit. I've got connections at the international office over there. For example, one of the ladies that I worked with, I actually used her as a reference for like job offers, job applications. So it's been really good experiences there. And I actually earned a scholarship when I was there because they were quite chuffed with me, I guess. So yeah, it's just an amazing experience, and I definitely recommend to anyone listening to just go ahead and do study abroad if you can.
Yeah, I didn't do study abroad, and I really wish I did. It sounds
Oh no.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it was unreal. Yeah.
Yeah. James, what are the job prospects like for a student undertaking the management programme?
That's a very good question as well. Before I maybe talk directly to the job prospects, I'm really taken by what Rebecca's just said around the confidence building aspect of all the things, study abroad in particular, but of all the things through the course, and what you yourself said, Julia, about your placement experience. It's not by accident that these things are built into the course, and it is to produce confidence in graduates as they go out. Our graduates from the programme get through the programme, come out the other end, and they are confident, capable business people, able of being put into any setting and performing well. I was speaking with a graduate just last week about this, and they had to give a presentation of the company that they were working in a foreign country, in English, but in a foreign country somewhere. And this graduate, said that they were very apprehensive about that. But what they had done was they'd drawn on this, all of the skills that they had learned through the course. And they knew that they'd been through scenarios like this before, where they're taken out of their comfort zone and have to perform to such an extent. And she said that she drew on those skills and was able to perform. And she surprised herself at how capable she was. My immediate response was, I wouldn't be surprised at all at how capable you were, because we know that you've been through the course that you've been through, and that has helped you develop in that way. So in terms of back to your question, Julia, in terms of employability and what kind of job roles our students can go into, quite often our students go into relatively strategic roles in the businesses that they go into. Now, it depends on the context of the business, whether it's a large organisation or a smaller organisation, but quite often we hear stories of our graduates where they've gone and they've had to represent the business quite soon after graduation as part of one of their first job tasks. And it's because they're so capable when they turn up in these jobs that it would be a shame not to use those skills. Other students quite often go into areas of consultancy. The big consultancy firms tend to take quite a lot of our management graduates and put them through their own training programs and things once they go into the consultancy realm. So there is quite a lot of business management consultancy that happens. Lots of management graduates go on to retrain in another specialism. Once they've got that great foundation of business management there, they can then go into a more specific specialism thereafter. And also, quite a significant number of our graduates go on to start their own businesses, and not just become the manager of a business, but in fact become the owner-manager of a business, and indeed the entrepreneur that is leading that business for themselves and adding to the economy in quite a substantial way.
Fab. And Rebecca, do you know what field you'd like to go into when you graduate?
Yes, so I did about a 6-month placement with an oil and gas firm. So because of this placement experience, I have already decided that I would like to go into the oil and gas sector. Considering my background, I had knew nothing about oil and gas before I started. Literally, yeah, furthest thing from it. I'm from actually a farming background, so this is complete opposite. So I went into this experience not really knowing that much, and I came out of this 6 months placement having known that I wanted to go into this. I met loads of amazing people. I learned so much, developed so much skills, like professional skills, especially throughout that placement. And because of this, that's definitely the area I want to go into. I'm actually writing my thesis on an oil and gas, based on an oil and gas industry. So that just shows you that, yeah, it's definitely had an impact on what I want to do.
Yeah, and I was quite similar actually. I didn't really know which sector or field I would like to go into, but having undertaken my placement, it really created that clear career path for me. So they're,
Yeah,
they're great for that as well.
yeah, definitely.
Fab. Finally, do you both have a top tip for students thinking about applying to study a business and management degree at RGU?
Yes, if you don't mind, I'll jump in and start on that. I do actually. Business management degrees are fascinating degrees. They're fascinating because they are contemporary in nature. They're dealing with changing environments. For example, say a graduate going off to work in the oil and gas sector. The oil and gas sector is very fast changing at the moment, moving towards a more sustainable future. The types of discussions, the types of debates, and the types of topics that you'll be covering through a business management degree enable you to engage with that changing future, that dynamic future, regardless of which industry that you're going into. So my top tip, or one of my top tips, if you like, for someone applying for a business management degree is keep up with the news. Keep up with the business news, keep up with what's going on in the world and what's going on specifically in the world of management, in the world of organizations, and how economies are structured and produced, because it's continually changing. It feels like it's changing faster now than it's ever changed before, but I don't know if that's fully true. I think it's more that economies and organizations in the field of management is always changing. So the more that you keep up to date with current trends, the more enjoyable and the more that you'll get out of your course as you go through studying it.
Yeah. And Rebecca, do you have a top tip?
Yeah, my top tip would definitely be take all the opportunities you can get. So if you're kind of on the fence about doing study abroad, you don't know, it's maybe a lot of paperwork or whatever, just go for it. You'll regret it if you don't. And that's for anything. That could be for placement. That could be even doing this course. Like if you're interested, please don't be afraid to just go ahead and go for it. And ask questions as well. That's another kind of top tip I would have. Ask questions, see what suits you, see what's out there for you, I'd say.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. So there are many benefits to studying a business and management degree with us here at RGU, including flexibilities to swap to another undergraduate degree on the programme after first year, paid placement opportunities, study abroad, and great employment prospects. Thank you, James and Rebecca, for taking the time to talk to RGU Talk today. You can find out even more information about studying an undergraduate business and management degree at RGU at www.rgu.ac.uk/management programme, and remember to follow us on social media. See you next time.